Welcome back. So in the last two videos I discussed in detail the primary and secondary movements which I use in order to fall asleep. And in this video I just want to put them all together and give you some frequently asked questions and maybe discuss issues that you might already see in regard to this particular way of falling asleep. So what do I do? Well, what I haven't written here, but I might do a few times a week, is have some peanut butter or almond butter before bed, maybe half an hour before bed, and a teaspoon of that. Thereafter I'm going to read for about 10 minutes. The book is going to be fiction, sometimes it'll be non-fiction. For example, at the moment I'm reading Born to Run, which is an excellent book. But in the past the Sherlock Holmes anthology was an excellent choice, and it really helped me to start daydreaming when I started doing my fantasy and eventually to fall asleep. So read for at least 10 minutes. Then I'd start the first primary movement, which is to lie on my back without a pillow and have my hands above my head. During this I do the breathing routine and also the body relaxation routine. So remember, the breathing routine is where I would put my tongue on the roof of my mouth. I'd breathe in through my mouth for 4 seconds. I'd hold my breath for 7 seconds, and then I'd breathe out through my mouth, making a noise for 8 seconds. And I would repeat this for, let's say, 5 to 7 times. Certainly not more than that. And that's the breathing routine. But I can also do a small bit of meditation with that, by picturing all the tension in my body coming to a certain point when I'm breathing in, concentrating on it when I'm holding my breath for 7 seconds, and then breathing all of the tension out as I breathe out through my mouth. And that's basically the meditation that I do when I'm in the first primary movement. What this does is it helps to slow down your heart rate and relax your muscles, whereas the reading for 10 minutes has turned off your brain. So if we're talking about a 15-minute period to fall asleep, this one will have taken 5 minutes, and then we put the hands down by the sides for 5 minutes and begin fantasy basically. And for me, like I said, it could be visualizing my day's exercise, my run or whatever it is. I find that's great. It could be imagining what it would be like to have all of the money in the world, or to be the President of the United States, or something like that. But the important point with the fantasy is that you have to visually picture it, as in sometimes I might find that I can picture it, but I'm narrating what I'm doing or what it is that I see in my own head. And I find that that isn't very good for falling asleep or helping you daydream. Try and allow it only to be visual. And let's say that might take 5 minutes, and then it's time to roll over onto my left side and begin the third primary movement. So I put a pillow between my legs and have them bent up in the fetal position almost. I hug a pillow between my arms, and I put one behind my head as well. And that's it. The point here though is that during the primary movements you need to make sure that you're not fidgeting or scratching, moving about. You need to be nice and still and relaxed. Also, at some point you're going to have to stop the fantasy. So sometimes you mightn't want to stop the fantasy and you will purposely continue it. But if you're going to fall asleep, you're really going to have to make a decision and at some point say that you're actively going to stop fantasizing, and you'll pick that up the next day. And that's it. That's what I do. That's how I get to sleep. That is how I made the ridiculously positive change to my life, and it has had so many positive consequences. My energy levels are up. I'm able to get out of bed early. And to be honest, I generally feel better about myself. It's great. And what's in front of you is basically my secret or my way of doing it. And it's really, really good. I'd hope that this would be something that you could try out and maybe give me some feedback on. Now it's time for some frequently asked questions. things that might go wrong when you're trying to do this. Things that I've learned while doing this for the last number of years. So the first question, what if you find out that in fact you're drifting off to sleep during the first or second primary movements? You feel that you're about to fall asleep. Should you continue to the second and then to the third movement? I would say no. I would say immediately roll over to the third position and fall asleep. What if you wake up? Now, what if you wake up during your movements? You might be in the second movement, have drifted off to sleep, and then you woke up again. Or it's in the middle of the night. Maybe you've had to go to the toilet or something. What should you do then? Well, it depends on how you feel. Sometimes I might immediately go to the third position. But if I feel that I'm awake, as in I've not just woken up, but my brain has actually woken up as well, well, I'll go back and I'll do my primary movements. Maybe not for as long, but I certainly will do them again. So, like I said, if you feel that your brain has woken up, well, it's time to give your brain the signal to go back to sleep, which is through the primary movements and the secondary movements. Now, this will be very relevant, I'd say, to new beginners. What if you're still awake after 20 minutes? That happened to me a lot in the past. It doesn't anymore, genuinely it doesn't, unless I've had a really, really tough day, and that might happen maybe 5 times in a year. If I'm still awake after 20 minutes, I'll turn on the light, and I'll start again, but I'll start again with the reading. This is very important. I might read for 5 to 10 minutes, and then begin the whole thing again. This is slightly different to the previous point where, let's say you had to go to the toilet or a noise woke you up. This is where you never went to sleep in the first place. I would say after 20 minutes, if you never went to sleep, you should begin the whole thing again, but starting with, and it's very important that you start with the reading section of the secondary movements. Okay, what if it doesn't work the first time? What if I tried all your primary and secondary movements, and you know what, it just didn't work? Well, I would say that the point here is that you're teaching your body a new trick. You're teaching it to understand a new signal. You should give it time to work. You wouldn't expect, I'm sure, that if you went to the gym after one session you'd be able to lift your own body weight on a bench press or something like that. I'm sure that you wouldn't expect that to be the case, and I'd hope that you'd understand that the same logic really applies here. Okay, next one is a really hard one. What about scratching and tossing and turning? This is something I was really, really, really bad at. I do a lot of this, and I'm telling you that if you're scratching and tossing and turning, you're not going to sleep. You really aren't. As I understand the physiology or psychology of it, every time you do something like that, your body is asking you to confirm that you're awake. So if you scratch or you toss and turn, you're telling your body that it's awake and it doesn't fall asleep. Your brain is asking your body, are you awake or are you asleep? And if you scratch, your body says, yeah, I'm awake, and then your brain stays awake. So what you need to do is, you need to stay still. And the way to do that, of course, is to have relaxed your body through your breathing and body relaxation technique. Try not to scratch, or resist the urge to scratch. Resist the urge to toss and turn. Sometimes this can be difficult, especially at the start. But for me, it's no longer a problem. I have basically trained my body to ignore these. In fact, I don't get them anymore because my body knows not to even ask. However, one that happens on a very regular basis is that my eyes are very tense. So the rest of my body might be relaxed, my shoulders or my legs might be relaxed, but my eyes are just so tense. And well, if your eyes are tense, you won't be able to close them. And you're not going to sleep if your eyes are open. To be honest, this is probably the hardest thing, and it takes the most effort. For me, it's almost mentally draining to relax my eyes when I feel tense. But that's exactly what you have to do if you're going to fall asleep. What I find works really well is to half shut my eyes. Ever so slightly shut my eyes and just hold them there, and then imagine rolling your eyes upwards, rolling your eyeballs upwards into your eyelid rather than closing your eyelid down. I'm not sure why, but that seems to be a less tense thing to do. So I rotate my eyes upwards into my eyelid, and that seems to work. And I check to see if my body is tense, and I repeat the process, and then eventually my eyelids are going to be relaxed and my eyes are going to be closed. But if that doesn't work, half shut them once again and then fully shut one eye. That's actually the one that I use the most. So I will half shut my eyes, then I'll shut one completely, and you'll find that the other one really wants to shut and join the closed eye, and then rotate your eyeball upwards, and the next thing your eye is closed. The point here is to keep asking yourself, am I less tense? Each time, am I less tense? What could be less tense about this position? And finally, sometimes that doesn't work. I mean, for me, sometimes that doesn't work. And I find the best thing to do is just keep them open. Keep them open, look at the ceiling, and eventually I'll be able to try one of the previous techniques. So for me, yes, the most frustrating sometimes can be to close my eyes, but that's really only after a bad day, and they happen very infrequently now. So that's that. That's all I have to say about this particular topic. I know there's a lot to it, but I really do think it's worth the time and effort in teaching yourself how to do this. Mentally, I'm in such a better place now that I know I'm able to get to sleep. I feel so much better about myself, and sometimes, yeah, it might take a bit of effort when I'm a bit tired or whatever it is, but it's definitely worth it, and I strongly recommend that you take it up. So, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I hope getting to sleep becomes much, much easier for you in the future.